There is a new documentary available to watch on Hulu called Framing Britney Spears, and I want to talk about it right now. Hey everybody, Chris King here with Love Live Music. Thanks for clicking on my video today. If you've never been here before, I like to talk about live music. I like to talk about some of my favorite bands. I like to talk about live music performance, live music albums, DVDs, and sometimes I like to talk about documentaries based on popular musicians. And today is exactly that, because I spent some time watching this it's a documentary, but it's part of a docu-series available on Hulu called The New York Times Presents. And this particular episode, which I think is episode 6 of this series, if you're looking for it, is entitled Framing Britney Spears. Are you hip to this? Have you seen it? Are you a Britney Spears fan? Am I a Britney Spears fan? I don't know. I like to follow career paths, and hers is one that we've all somewhat followed along with. And that's why the New York Times has commissioned this 75-minute documentary, Framing Britney Spears. And my main takeaways are what I'm going to discuss today. Within the context of the documentary. I don't want to get too deeply into what is or what isn't conspiracy theory or truths, hard facts, because I can't say that those were presented necessarily as much as it was a lot of opinion. And that's what we got. We got some opinion from some of Britney's handlers, some people that have known her since she was 5 years old. Very interesting interviews with people like that, people that were at her record label, Jive, when she was first introduced to the recording public, prior to her exploding with the Baby One More Time video. If you are a Britney fan, chances are you've already seen this presentation. And your takeaways could be similar to mine. And it's this. You get to see a lot of her as a child, as an adolescent. You get to see her performing live. You get to see her singing live, which is something I don't think we've seen in quite some time. A lot of behind the scenes footage that has probably never been seen before. Going from her days on Star Search, from the Mickey Mouse Club, all the way up to rehearsals for some of her tours and some of her performances playing in malls before she was a household name. All of that, very interesting, very cool footage to get to see, particularly for those that are Britney fans. The center point about the entire feature, however, is really about the conservatorship that Britney's father, Jamie, has over her person and her estate these days, which is something that's a little bit unique and probably uncharacteristic, and maybe something that the general public doesn't know or understand the ins and outs of. I thought it was interesting that they had a lawyer on to discuss some of the hypotheticals of a conservatorship and how they may relate to this particular one. And one thing that she really underscored was that this could be put in place if the family felt as if the person, Britney, was in danger of maybe being swindled for her money or conned out of something, or maybe that she couldn't, in the right frame of mind, make the right decisions for her financial and personal well-being. We find out at the end of this piece that this person has now been hired by Jamie Spears. Another focal point of this documentary is really the Free Britney movement. And if you're not familiar with that, then check out that hashtag on Instagram. It's really quite interesting, as there's a large group of fans that are thinking that Britney's being held captive. And there's a lot of weight to that idea. I mean, if you did go and search through some of Britney Spears' Instagram posts, you would say, yeah, some of this is a little bit awkward. Some of this is maybe a cry for help. Who knows? Maybe we're all reading too much into it, or maybe there's some gravity to it. In any event, there's a significant number of people out there pushing this Free Britney movement to free her from her conservatorship, which is a noble cause, it would seem. One of my main takeaways from this documentary was brought up after we see Britney get interviewed by Ed McMahon, and around the time they bring us up to some notorious interviews with Diane Sawyer and with Matt Lauer. It's really brought into focus how unfairly females, and Britney in particular here, are interviewed. And some of the questions that they're asked would never be asked of the boy bands of the time or male celebrities. And it really underscored a difference there between male and females being interviewed. Ed McMahon saying, "Do you have a boyfriend, Britney? Can I be your boyfriend?" And, it's got kind of a weirdo look on her face when she's being asked that. And they really bring into focus that Britney Spears is a lot more than that. She is a smart business person who was really calling all of her shots. And maybe that gets glossed over a little bit with her image as, this sexy performer. We also get a lot of footage from the Meltdown era. And I'll have to say that, this was 14 years ago, 07, 08. And I had forgotten how long she and Kevin Federline were together. I know they've got 2 kids together, but I had forgotten the length that relationship had lasted. And we get to see a lot of, behind the scenes paparazzi type stuff, which really, if there is a villain, if there is a targeted villain in this, it might not be Jamie Spears. It might be they interview one of the head paparazzi guys throughout. And one of the phrases that he says, almost as a throwaway phrase, he mentions how long they had been working on Britney. And, he doesn't say we were working with Britney, that this was a copacetic. He tries to make it like, oh, this was a give or take relationship. It was good for her. It was good for us. We were making money. She was getting the press. But he describes it as we were working on Britney, not working with Britney. And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I think, if you're a heavyweight boxer, you're working on your opponent. You're working them down. You're working on them. And that's kind of what I was feeling when he said that this wasn't in her best interest. It was in your best interest, Mr. Paparazzi Man. But the biggest spoiler of the entire documentary is at the very end. At the very end, when the credits roll, it says, "We contacted this list of people and either got a no comment or a no response." And it's Britney Spears, Jamie Spears, Lynn Spears, Brian Spears, Jamie Lynn Spears. It's the entire family. They couldn't get anybody to go on record to substantiate the claims of this New York Times piece. So what is true and what isn't true? Who knows? But there's more to the story, and we're going to hear more to the story one day. I know that we will. And if you enjoy talking about music, live music, some of your favorite artists, I hope that you subscribe to my channel. Check out one of these videos that's popping up right now. My name's Chris King, and I love live music.